All right, next up, Etihad gonna be another huge game. It's gonna be Man City versus Aston Villa. Rob, starting with you now. Obviously, we touched on the Arsenal game. We won't spend too much on it, but Nathan Ake went off on the 27 minutes.
Mm.
I don't know the extent of Kyle Walker's injury or John Stones' injury. I'm assuming, John Stones was on the bench. I assume he's going to be okay for this game. But yeah, this is a game that, like Aston Villa could really get at Man City in this game and just, go hell for it. The two wing, but Bailey and Diaby could really just go at the fullbacks and try and, put so much pressure on them. I think that's what Arsenal lacked during the
Mhm.
weekend. They didn't have the out ball. They really struggled to get out. They had no pace. They missed Martinelli's
Well,
pace.
it's a bit of a struggle, lack of pace, but they almost feared it too much. They were happy to sit back and do it. They didn't want to kind of play against it.
Yeah,
Villa will have the luxury that they can. Like
yeah.
it's only them and Spurs for top four. They're not chasing the title. Well, they're not too far behind either. Like
Well, I was
behind the
just gonna
pack. To be
say,
fair.
if Villa was to win this game, they'll be only 2 points off Man City. Man City would
There
have
you go. So,
but
but yeah, sure, yeah,
who knows?
it's an
Villa could end
interesting
up
one.
winning the title. Who knows?
They could, yes, yeah. Interesting to see with Ollie Watkins. He has a knock at the moment, and he's had that knock for about 2 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
He did miss a great chance against Wolves, where I don't he does tend to do that bit. He was straight through. Well, I say straight. He was over on the left. A couple of dodgy touches, and then a poor enough finish. But yeah, the likes of Diaby and Bailey against a kind of injury stricken Man City defense, which I'm delighted about. City have been hoarding defenders for years,
100%.
and all of a sudden they've got a crisis, but they'll
Yeah,
still
no,
have the best back four in the
they're
world.
like,
Like,
oh no, like John Stones and Kyle Walker are injured. And it's not as if they don't have like 60, 70 million defenders on the bench.
as if they didn't sell or didn't just buy 100 million fucking Guardia
Exactly.
all over
Like,
the
what
summer.
are
Like,
you talking about?
you know, so it's an interesting one. Hopefully, Villa can pull out the result.
Yeah,
City will be looking to bounce back big time, and that's the thing with Villa. You don't know what to expect from
you
them.
don't
They
know what
can
to
they
expect.
can absolutely do. They could absolutely come and do City, but they can, in the same breath, they can absolutely get the spit roasted by City.
Yeah, Johnny, same with Villa. Yeah, and in the reverse game against City, they limited them to two shots in the first 15 minutes, and that was all City got, and they dominated. They only won 1-0 though, but the Villa were absolutely dominant in that game. City had 12 shots against Arsenal, one on target, and it was Nathan Ake pretty early on. They really struggled to create anything. Obviously, Arsenal had a low block, yes, which is not something we've seen from them, but Villa are a really good team of playing a high line and catching teams offside, but it's one of those things where I don't know if Villa will sit back. So I haven't seen them against any team this season sit back and defend and hope for a draw. Like they'll go out to win this game.
That's where they'll get caught. If they go out and try and play against City, they'll get hurt. They'll definitely get hurt. Especially going into the Etihad. Pep will have learned a lot, and that's one thing you can really respect about Pep. You know, he does take a lot from games. He would take a lot from the first Villa game, especially even the game against Arsenal this weekend. Arsenal were the best defensive side in the league, so things like that will happen. And they still could say they probably were looking not to win the game. You know, they still had a chance to win the game, we said City. So you still could have come away from that game and thinking, geez, they probably could have should have bet Arsenal at the weekend.
Yeah.
Um, as I said earlier, it was a better point for Arsenal than what it was for City. Um, so you would, I think, if Villa come out to try and play against City, City would love that. They love the space them behind to
Yeah.
try and force them back in. They'll create it. So I do think if Villa are gonna hurt them, they have to, and they'll have to defend in low block. There's no way you go toe to toe with City. And even earlier in the season, that was in Villa Park, is a very different type of ground, very different type of pitch. And that was when Villa were in their absolute
Prime
best
form.
form. They're not that team at the moment,
No.
and they have a few knocks and things like that. So I would expect a big answer from City. And even with their injuries, they still have this look at the bench they have, so they can afford it. If anyone can afford injuries, they can. The only man they can't afford to get injured is Rodri.
All right, so jumping in predictions, so Johnny.
2-0 City.
Rob,
2-1 City. Sorry, 2-1 City.
right.
I I'd love to say 2-1 Villa. To be honest, it's been a crazy season, so why not one more big big result.
Yeah, and as well too, like if City lost, they're out of the title race. That's them done.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
They're gone.
but
Like
then it's hard to say City.
was saying like
Sorry.
it's crazy, but it's only 3 points behind Liverpool. It's not the end of the world. I'll probably
No, at
go.
the moment,
I'm
yeah.
going to go 2-2. I think wishful thinking that City will drop points again.